and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jade if you are new, and if you are a continuing subscriber or watcher of my channel, thank you very much for tuning in to watch another one of my videos. It is greatly appreciated. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to hit on that bell so you don't miss any more of my videos. Please also give it a thumbs up if you like this video, so then I know what you guys like to watch. So in today's video, as you can probably tell from the title, it is going to be my July wrap-up. I have read so many amazing books this month. I really couldn't wait to get into them, and it was such a fight to figure out which book that I should read first, because around the Stuff Your Kindle day, I managed to find a load of the books that I've had in my TBR for such a long time for very cheap. I think half of them were about 99p, I think, to be fair, so I was really excited for that because I couldn't wait to get my hands on the books, get started, and yeah, it's been a really good month for reading, and I will show you guys which ones I read now. So the first book that I have on my list is The Writing Retreat by Julia Bartz. I will just read you the synopsis now. A book deal to die for. 5 attendees are selected for a month-long writing retreat at the remote estate of Rosa Vallow, the controversial high priestess of feminist horror. Alex, a struggling writer, is thrilled. Upon arrival, they discover they must complete an entire new novel from scratch, and the best one will receive a 7-figure publishing deal. Alex's long-extinguished dreams now seems within reach. But then the women begin to die. Trapped, terrified, yet still desperately writing, it is clear that there is more than a publishing deal at stake at Blackbriar Estate. Alex must confront her own demons and finish her novel in time to save herself. Loved that. Thought that it was such a good synopsis. It really sort of pulled me in and made me really want to read it. I gave this one a 4.5 stars because I'm going to say 4.5 to 5 stars. I loved the storyline, I liked the characters, I liked the development of it, and then all of a sudden it just dragged a little bit, and I didn't like that, and I just kind of wanted to figure out what was going on, and there was a little bit too much in the middle for me that could have probably been left out, and then all of a sudden then the twist happened, then you figured out what was happening, and then the book ended. So it was just that middle bit for me that just seemed to drag a little bit, and I think that's why I did initially give it a 4.5 star, but as an overall, did I love the book? Yes, so that's probably where my fight or flight comes in with 4.55 stars, but it's definitely a book I would recommend to read because I do think it was really good. The next book that I have on my TBR that I read this month was The Cottage by Lisa Stone. This one was fantastic. I love this one. This one was my first 5+ stars of the month. I couldn't put this book down. I seriously couldn't. It was so gripping, and it just kind of like jumped out of the pages, grabbed you by the shoulders, and refused to let you go until you'd finished the book. It was such a good time to read it. I will just read you the blurb now. An isolated cottage. After losing her job and boyfriend, Jan Hamblin is in desperate need of a fresh start, so she jumps at the chance to rent a secluded cottage on the edge of Coleshaw Woods. A tap at the window. Very quickly, though, things take a dark turn. At night, Jan hears strange noises and faint taps at the window. Something or someone is out there. A forest that hides many secrets. Jan refuses to be scared off, but whoever is outside isn't going away, and it soon becomes clear that the nightmare is only just beginning. That blurb, again, it drew me in so much. I just loved it. I loved the idea, I loved the idea of a haunted house, spooky cottage on the edge of the woods, and I thought it would be a haunted house type of vibe, but it wasn't. It was completely different to what I expected, and it blew my mind. It really did. I couldn't get over how wrong I was, and I think that's what made me love the book so much. I just kept going. I literally couldn't turn the pages fast enough. The majority of the books that I read this month, actually, I'm just putting it out there, were on Kindle. But yeah, jumping back into this book, oh my god, I love the characters. I love Jan. I think she was amazing, considering most people would have just packed up and gone. They really would have. They would not have stuck around at all. But she did. She stuck it out and she stayed. And, the twist that comes of, you know, around at the end of the book is actually very, very sweet and very wholesome and not scary at all, but the leading up to it is so good. I think Lisa Stone did such a fantastic job. You know, and it wasn't like scary. It was almost like jump scares in a book, because it, you know, it wasn't like, oh my god, this is so scary, I just want to put it down and never read it again. But it did sort of make you think, and it did make you kind of, oh, you know, get the shivers and things. Oh my god, yeah, it was such a good book. And like I said, the ending just blew my mind. I couldn't get over the ending at all. I thought it was so wholesome, so loving, and completely different to what I thought it was going to be, and that just completely made the book for me. The next book that I read this month was The Gristly Grocery by China Pace. I have been so lucky in working with China before on the first 2 books that she read, and I've been incredibly lucky to work with her again. The books that I have read by China in the Sally and Sherlock mysteries have all been ARCs, which are Advanced Reader Copies. Thank you, China, for letting me work with you. You are a fantastic, phenomenal writer, and you deserve all the praise, all the shout outs and everything. You really are. You're a fantastic writer. I have loved the Sally and Sherlock mysteries since I started reading The Lost Librarian, and then on to The Funfair Fiasco, and then the next book, which is book 3 obviously, which is The Gristly Grocery. I can't get enough of these books. I think they are absolutely fantastic. I will just read you the blurb now as well. Sally Holmes and her trusty sidekick Sherlock are solving their strangest case yet. When a trip to the grocery store leads to her finding a pair of hands hidden in a fruit bin, Sally knows she has to find out where they came from. She goes on a wild goose chase to try and find clues, and ends up stumbling on a completely different mystery along the way. Can a feud between 2 local theatres have anything to do with the creepy hands? Sally's determined to find out. Join her and her friends as she explores a farm, investigates an actress, and sleuths her way to the culprit one grisly clue at a time. Can that synopsis get any better? I loved it. I really loved it. And you know, Sally has captured my heart. Sherlock, who is a beautiful little corgi. Again, I love dogs, I love animals, so any little trusty sidekick is going to go a long way with me. And I just love Sally's character development as she has gone through these books. You know, she's still young, she's still in school, but yet her detective skills, you know, she really knows what she wants, and she hones in on those skills, and she just, like I said, just her character development throughout these books. I mean, her boldness in this book is completely superior to the first and second book, even though they were both absolutely phenomenal in their own right. But this one, she just seems to just go for it. She's not worried about taking risks. She's more bold in her questions and her, you know, her wanting to find out what's going on, and even with the twist of a new mystery throwing itself at her, she just takes it in her stride. And I just think it was such a fantastic book. And I really hope that China writes more. I really do, because you could go on forever and a day with these books, because Sally is just such a funky little character. She's a little spitfire, to be fair to it. I really love her character. I love the way China's written her in. You know, Sherlock, again, like I said, is a cutie. He really helps out. I love the fact that, you know, Sally talks to him, and his little whines or a bark or something, you know, she interprets as an answer or a question and bounces her ideas off him. Gordon, who is her friend who helps her along on a lot of her mysteries, is you know, he wants to be a journalist, so he helps out, and, you know, he sort of sees things maybe in a different light than Sally would. I would probably say that Gordon is a little bit more diplomatic than Sally. Sally kind of just goes in guns blazing because she's so passionate, where maybe Gordon takes a step back and kind of looks at the overall scenario before kind of stepping in and saying something. but still just, oh, fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. So yes, that was another one of my 5+ stars for the month. The next book that I have on my list was potentially my actual favourite book of the month. This one was Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. Oh, wow. This book, let me read you the synopsis, guys, because I'm just so excited, I really am. What was it like living in that house? Maggie Holt is used to such questions. 25 years ago, she and her parents, Ewan and Jess, moved into a rambling Victorian estate called Banbury Hall. They spent 3 weeks there before fleeing in the dead of night. An ordeal Ewan later recounted in a memoir called House of Horrors. His tale of ghostly happenings and encounters with malvoyant spirits became a worldwide phenomenon. Now Maggie has inherited Banbury Hall after her father's death. She was too young to remember any of the events mentioned in her father's book, but she doesn't believe a word of it. Ghosts, after all, well, they don't exist. But when she returns to Banbury Hall to prepare it for sale, her homecoming is anything but warm. People from the pages of her father's book lurk in the shadows, and locals aren't thrilled that their small town has been made famous. Even more unnerving is Banbury Hall itself, a place that hints of dark deeds and unexplained happenings. As the days pass, Maggie begins to believe that what her father wrote was more fact than fiction. That, either way, someone or something doesn't want her here, and that she might be in danger all over again. Oh my god. When I read the synopsis for that, I knew without a doubt I had to read it. I loved it. I thought that it was... Anyone who's read this, leave a comment down below if you think this as well. This book gave me very, very much Haunting of Hill House vibes. Am I right? Am I wrong? I don't know. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you think if you've read this. Oh my god, though, I loved it, I loved it, I loved it, I loved it, I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. I think I literally inhaled this book. It was phenomenal. It really, really was. I mean, 5 stars doesn't seem enough for me for this book, and I know that probably seems a little bit like exaggerated, but I just genuinely absolutely loved this book. I loved Maggie's character. I loved that, you know, she grew up with this book kind of overshadowing her entire life because everybody just thinks that they know her from what was written in the pages of this book, but she is a completely different person, and the detail that went into this book was fantastic, and I'm not even kidding. I think that Riley has done such a fantastic job with this book because you get kind of drawn into what you think is happening, and all of a sudden you are convinced, 100% convinced, that what you're reading happened. You're like, right, that's what happened, there we go, that's the, you know, the be all and end all of it. And then bam, 2 seconds later you've literally read like the end of a paragraph and then the start of the next one. Nope, that didn't happen, the be all and end all didn't happen, this is what happened. And you kind of go back and forth with what you think is happening, and then all of a sudden what really happened is explained, and you are blown away by what is actually going on. This is crazy, people. Like, seriously, this book is absolutely fantastic. I loved it, I loved it, I loved it, I loved it. But yeah, that was definitely my 5+ star, and most likely my favourite book of the month. The next book that I have on my list that I read this month is Hidden Pictures. I'm not going to try and pronounce the author's name because I'm going to balls it up and I don't want to insult anybody. I really, really enjoyed this book. I will read you the synopsis now. Mallory is delighted to have a new job looking after gorgeous 4-year-old Teddy. She has been sober for 1.5 years, and she is sure that her new nannying role in the affluent suburbs will help keep her on the straight and narrow. That is until Teddy starts to draw disturbing pictures of his imaginary friend Anya. It is quite clear to Mallory and Teddy's parents, even in his crude, childlike style, that the woman Teddy is drawing in his pictures is dead. Teddy's crayons are confiscated and his paper locked away, but the drawings somehow keep coming, telling a frightening story of a woman murdered, and they are getting more sophisticated. But if Teddy isn't drawing the pictures, who is? And what are they trying to tell Mallory about her new home? That one, again, drew me in. I loved the synopsis. I thought it was fantastic. You know, anything to do with kids in horror is creepy as hell. It really, really is. It's so, so creepy. And I love the idea of, you know, maybe this imaginary friend coming through and drawing pictures, and you know, I just love the idea. And also throughout the pages of the book you actually do see Teddy's drawings, and as you go through the book, yes, they do get more sophisticated. I love this book. I wouldn't say it was necessarily creepy. It had its moments, it really did, and I did really enjoy the book. I got to the part in the book which is the eye-opening sort of finale, and I was like, okay, wow, I didn't see that coming at all, like completely didn't see it coming. I actually put the book, my Kindle, down on my lap and was like, did I actually just read that? And I actually had to go back and read it again. The next book that I have on my list for my TBR from this month is Bunny! I couldn't wait to get my hands on this book. I have seen so many people rave about this book. One of my favourite YouTubers to watch, Chloe Bunny, has hugely raved about this book. She loves it. I think actually that is when she changed her YouTube name and her other socials to Chloe Bunny, or to include Bunny. Yeah, so I thought, my gosh, if Chloe Bunny loves this book, and I think her friend Caitlin, who we see quite a lot on her channel, loves this book too, then it's got to be a good book. But I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it, and I'm so disappointed. I really, really am. I was so excited to read this one. I actually think, sorry, I lied at the start of this one. This book, Bunny, was the first book I actually read this month, because I was so excited to get my hands on it because of, like I said, so many people have raved about it, but I didn't like it. Let me read you the synopsis and then I'll tell you why. We call them bunnies because that's what they call each other. Seriously, Bunny. Samantha Heather McKay is an outsider in her small, highly selected MFA program at Warren University. In fact, she is utterly repelled by the rest of her fiction writing cohort, a clique of unbearably tweet rich girls who call each other Bunny. But then, the bunnies issue her with an invitation, and Samantha finds herself inexplicably drawn to their front door, across the threshold and down their rabbit hole. I loved this idea. It gave me very much Mean Girl vibes, and I thought, my god, this sounds incredible. I love the idea of this cliquey little group who call each other Bunny, and it's all a bit weird and all a bit wonderful, and then this outsider who is completely the opposite end of the spectrum to the bunnies, getting an invite into their world. I love that idea, and that is what immediately drew me in to want to read this book. I thought, that is incredible, that has got to be a 5-star book completely. So I read it, and I loved the beginning, and I loved how, you know, Samantha gets drawn into the bunny world and slowly starts to integrate herself with the bunnies and then becoming a bunny. But then after she becomes a bunny is where it all goes for me. I didn't understand a bloody clue of what was going on after that. And you kind of, you know, Samantha kind of integrates herself or gets the invitation from the bunnies pretty quickly in the beginning of this book. So you've got quite a fair chunk of book left. I didn't get it. I really didn't get it. Now maybe that is the idea. That is probably the idea of the whole thing. And I've never taken drugs. The only, things I've ever taken is, Nurofen, ibuprofen, and the Gassonet that I had when I had my daughter. But from hearing people's, this is what I felt like when I took X drug. That is how I felt when I read this book. I felt like I was on some sort of acid trip. I literally felt like I'd lost myself in time and space, and I had no idea what was going on. And even at the end of the book, which apparently, according to some, explains the entirety of the book, I still didn't get it. I still don't understand it, and I just don't get it. I really don't get it. But maybe that's the point. but it won't be a book that I will be rereading. I mean, don't take my word for it, and please don't, dismiss Bunny because of my review. Give it a shot. You might love it. You might turn around and be like, oh my god, this book is amazing. I'm going to reread it 1,000 times. Great. Good for you. I'm glad you enjoy it. I just sadly didn't, and I am seriously gutted that I didn't like this book. Right, okay, so the second but last book that I have on my list that I read this month is The Monsters of Rookhaven. This book, I actually have said that wrong. I haven't actually finished it. I am going to add it into next month's book reads because I do want to finish it. I just ran out of time. I think between being a mum, I don't always get as much time to read as I used to, so sadly I did run out of time with this one, but I will read you the blurb and let you know what I think of it so far. Sometimes the monsters take us. Sometimes we become the monsters. Maribel has always known she is a monster. When the glamour protecting her unusual family from the human world is torn, and an orphaned brother and sister stumble upon Rookhaven, Maribel soon discovers that friendship can be found in the outside world. But as something far more sinister comes to threaten them all, it quickly becomes clear that the true monsters aren't always necessarily the ones you can see. I love the idea of that. I thought it was so good. And the fact that you have this family of monsters, but they all love each other and they're all like a little family that have kind of come together because they're all like sort of outsiders, I guess, really intrigued me. And I am really enjoying this book so far. I cannot remember how many pages I am because the book is actually downstairs. But so far I'm really enjoying it. We have met the brother and sister. I love Mirabelle. I think I called her Maribel to start with, sorry, but her name is Mirabelle. And I love her. I think she's so good. I'm going to say this because I love the name. There is I hate calling them monsters, but that's what they call themselves in the blurb, so I kind of have to go with it. But there is a monster which is like eons old, like since time began old. And it's called Piglet. Oh my god, what a cool name and a cute name for a monster that's meant to be this like dangerous monster. Even in the book, Piglet is described as really, really dangerous, not to be let out, not to be unleashed, hide him away, keep him secure. But Mirabelle has a really good relationship with Piglet, like she talks to him, and so, as far as I'm aware, so what I've read in the book so far, and I just loved that there is the most dangerous monster in this book so far, and it's called Piglet. I love it! I think that is so cute, and I just thought that was fantastic. I thought that was such a really good name because you wouldn't expect a monster that is like eons old, super scary, super dangerous, to be called Piglet. Love it, love it, love it. So yes, I will be adding The Monsters of Rookhaven to next month's book list because I want to finish it. So the last set of books that I have on my TBR, I am very sad to say that I actually DNF'd. I did not finish them, and I'm really, really sad about it, but I will try. I'm not going to get rid of them. I will pick them up again another time and give them another go. Now, those books were the Tokyo Ghoul Volume 1, 2 and 3. I have read graphic novels and I have never read anime before. Now, again, I hope that I'm saying that correctly, that Tokyo Ghoul is anime and not manga, because, again, very new to it, so please don't, come at me for getting it wrong, or just comment down below if you know which one it is, whether it's anime or manga, let me know. With these books, they're all done in comic style, as I would describe them, and you kind of jump from one square to another, and I found it kind of hard to follow, so that's what stopped me from finishing it. I tried my best. I got quite far into the first book, but it felt too jumbled, and I didn't feel like it was flowing. I didn't feel like I was enjoying it, and it felt hard to read. I'm gutted. I'm really disappointed that I didn't finish them, but I will try and pick them up again another time and just give it a go. So that is my July wrap up. I was so happy with all the books that I've read. Like I said, I was just loving life this month. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you guys all in my next video. Take care, bye!